affects our community. It's more than our coverage. It's Your Decision 2024.
Welcome back to WIS News Primetime. Elected officials spend their time in office working to try and positively impact the people they serve. And once the term ends, it does not often mean that their work is finished. And one of our popular former South Carolina governors now stepping into a brand new role, working to impact South Carolina in a dynamic new way.
Former Governor David Beasley served from 1995 to 1999, but at the beginning of March, he is set to join the faculty of USC Joseph F. Rice School of Law. And
we are absolutely honored to have him live in the WIS Primetime studio tonight to talk about this new chapter and the many things that he has accomplished. Governor Beasley, it is always such a pleasure to see you.
Well, it's great to see you. I wouldn't have driven all the way up here except for you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I look forward to our conversations. You know, when I saw the news release that you were going to take on this role at the University of South Carolina, I immediately wondered, how did they get him to commit? You know, because you do travel the globe and deal with, I mean, obviously with the World Food Program, but with so many things that you are involved in to have an impact. What was the deciding factor?
Well, you know, when I met with the president and, of course, the dean of the law school, William Hubbard, and we had tremendous conversation. And to me, when I look at the world and see where we're going with all the division, all the problems, we've got to prepare the next generation of leadership. They've got to learn how to be conciliatory and work with others of different views and different values. And I thought coming back onto the campus and working with the next generation of leaders and helping raise them up to be what we need for the future, particularly when today is so divided.
Yes.
I thought, you know, I've been given so much and so much opportunity, and I want to give back to these young leaders. And I'm excited about it. We're all over the university talking about ideas, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
They're excited about it, too.
Yeah. Any idea what you might be teaching in particular?
Well, we're talking about a myriad of different things.
Sure.
Because obviously, having been a governor, you can talk about state government,
right.
You can talk about international relations, federal relations, as well as humanitarian law, development, worldwide. There's so many different arenas to go through. And so we'll be sitting down with the different professors and different disciplines and talking about how can I bring the most impact on the campus, as well as I plan to challenge the students and take them places too. So
I love that. I love that. I know you just gave some lectures at Harvard that were really well received. When you think about your experience leading the UN World Food Program, what were some of those stories that really resonated with you, that stayed with you?
Wow, you know, when I arrived, taking over the World Food Program, I didn't want the job actually to begin with, and I got talked into it. A group of Democrat and Republican senators said, you've got to do this. You're the only one that convinced Trump not to zero out strategic international aid. And I said, well, all right. So I took the role, and when I started, we were a $6 billion operation. And when I finished, we were a $14.2 billion, and raising money was critical. And you get this question out there, why should I send money down to Guatemala or Syria or Chad when we have funding needs here at home, like in South Carolina or in Germany or wherever? And I says, well, if you're not going to do it out of the goodness of your heart, you better do it out of your national security interests and your financial interests, because people don't want to leave home, but if they can't feed their children, they're going to do what they have to do. I warned actually the United States that the number of people that would be migrating to the United States-Mexican border would be 5 times what it was years ago. When you feed 160 million people like we were doing, you survey them. You know what they're thinking. You know what's going on. And so you see what's about to happen. And so it's heartbreaking out there, but 80% of our operations were in war zones, areas of conflict, whether it's Syria or Taliban in Afghanistan or the Houthis in Yemen or Russia, Ukraine, wherever it may be. And so I think it was Scott Pelley with 60 Minutes one time. He said, you got the greatest job on the planet, saving the lives of millions of people every day. And I said, Scott, I do, but I'm going to tell you something you haven't thought of, and it's going to bother you. And he was like, what? I said, I don't go to bed at night thinking about the children we saved. I go to bed at night brokenhearted over the children we couldn't reach. And when we don't have enough money, we have to choose which children eat, which children don't eat, which children live, which children die. I said, how would you like that job? And he looked at me like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it. And he said, well, how do you stay positive? I said, Well, when you're out there saving lives of children, and you see every child as your little brother, your little sister, made in the image of God, and I'm like, that is why I'm out here. That's why I'm hopeful, because I'm not giving up on those young people, because that's our future.
That's your why.
Wow, yeah, and making a big difference. We appreciate it, and of course we have lots more to talk about, including a pretty contentious primary coming up here that I'm sure you'll have some good insights on. Well, all of that coming up after the break when our conversation with former Governor Beasley continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to Prime Time as we continue our conversation with former South Carolina Governor David Beasley, talking about his work with the UN World Food Program and also talking a little bit about the upcoming primary here. You were talking about some of the divisions in this country, especially along the political aisle, that really is an impediment to some of the work that you were doing with that organization. And really kind of a crisis that we have right now in terms of our discourse with one another in this country. We're as divided as ever. What do you see as some potential solutions?
You know, we are divided, but it's not just the United States. Social media is creating division all over the world, and I've seen it all over the world. And it's like on steroids now. And in the United States, all the propaganda, the disinformation, misinformation, and I tell people, shut that thing down. Take a break. Go find somebody and have a meal with them and get to know them a little bit. And so when I think about the last 6 years when I was in this role, and the Democrats and Republicans were fighting over everything. And so I used food as a weapon of bringing peace, not only in other parts of the world, but also in the U.S. Senate and U.S. House. And it was the miracle on Pennsylvania Avenue. So we were able to bring the White House and the U.S. Senate, U.S. House together on food security. It was really a remarkable thing. So food is a powerful force to bringing people together. So now here we are in America, and at a very divided time, and I'm brokenhearted. I've told my friends in the Democrat and Republican parties at the highest levels, I said I am so disappointed. Both parties, in my opinion, are letting down the American people. And the American people deserve better, because the world looks to America for leadership. I mean, we are that shining city on the hill that the world looks to for guidance. And when I think about how many people we have helped save in the last 5 or 6 years, that's helped stabilize nations, that has kept from mass migration and destabilization and starvation and famine, it's because of the leaders coming together on food security in the United States. So how do we now take that and calm things down? I don't think it's going to calm down in this election cycle, but I'm hoping after this election cycle we can really, I don't know, we need an organic, sort of a spiritual movement, not necessarily religious, a spiritual movement of reconciling people.
I'm feeling that. You know, we have about 2 minutes left, Governor Beasley, and talking about how contentious things are on the political landscape right now. It's almost as if working across the aisle or a bipartisan effort has become a dirty word. You know, it's almost like it works against you to be someone who wants to promote that type of consensus. I know it's a loaded question for a minute left in an interview, but what can we do to break through that mindset?
You know, my best friends on the floor of the House of Representatives were usually my most significant enemy on the floor. We would fight it out, but it was never personal, and we would go have dinner and lunch together and laugh and hug and just be friends. And that's what we need to bring back to this nation, so that we can respect each other's views. I don't care what your religion, your sexuality, your nationality, the color, whatever it might be. We're all made in the image of God. There's a great teaching, love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes.
You know, the actual ancient translation of that is love your neighbor as your equal, because you're all made in the image of God, so you're all special and you're all equal. Imagine it would end racism, discrimination, division if we saw each other as brothers and sisters in this mindset.
Listen, you're giving me chills, and I'm like, he's going to be teaching over at the law school, but I feel like you just gave us a whole sermon, so thank you for that. Thank you for that, Governor Beasley. You'll be right across the street from us now, so I hope to see you often, maybe pop in on a class every now and then, but thank you for your leadership, for your commitment to service, and just for your heart for helping people.
Well, let's go change the world.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good. All right, let's get over to Chief Meteorologist Adam Clark with details on our forecast. Hey, Adam.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed.